survive a war. You gotta become war. Hello, everybody. I am back for another movie review, and this time I'm going to do another sequel, and this is Rambo First Blood Part 2. Rambo First Blood Part 2 is an action-adventure war movie that came out back in 1985. So, it picks up after the events of First Blood, the first Rambo film, where John Rambo is seen in prison thanks to his actions from the first movie, and Colonel Sam Troutman, approaches Rambo with an offer to get him out of prison, and he's offered to go back to Vietnam to help locate missing American POWs. So he gets involved with a mission to basically go over and try to find these prisoners, only to find out that he's only being sent over there just to find the prison camp and take photographs. So he goes over there and discovers that the prison camp is not empty and it actually has POWs, but again, he's told by his superiors not to intervene or not to take action. That's basically telling a hungry dog that you can't eat that giant steaming steak, that giant juicy steak in the middle of the table in the middle of nowhere. So basically, Rambo gets involved, action ensues, and chaos happens. I basically just described the plot of the film in a nutshell, pretty much. This is the kind of movie that, you really don't give a damn about the plot. All you care about is you just want to see the action happen. And that's pretty much what this movie is. It is nothing but action galore. The movie was directed by George P. Cosmatos, who would go on to direct Stallone yet again in Cobra, and would go on to direct the 1993 Western Tombstone with Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer. Amazing movie, by the way. Definitely worth it. Cobra is worth watching, too, because that's another great action film. Rambo First Blood Part 2, by the way, James Cameron did pen the script with Stallone. As you can see here. Yeah, there we go. I'm trying, like I said, I'm fiddling with the focus. Yeah, Cameron wrote the screenplay with Stallone. Right after James Cameron finished up The Terminator, he began penning two different screenplays at the same time. One being Rambo 2, and the other he did was Aliens. So he was literally penning two sequels at the same time. I don't know what it was about 1985, because Rambo First Blood Part 2 was a film basically about a one-man wrecking crew, and I realized that in 1985 there were two other action films that I know of at least, that also dealt with one-man wrecking crews. Another one was the Arnold Schwarzenegger film Commando, and the other was this Chuck Norris movie, Invasion USA. Both movies were basically all focused on one-man wrecking crews. Rambo First Blood Part 2 was more... This movie opened up, and it had the biggest opening weekend of 1985, grossing $20 million, which at the time was a all-time high for an R-rated movie to make that big of an opening. It was. And in its final tally mark, Rambo First Blood Part 2 pulled in an impressive $150 million in its theatrical run. But that's just here in the States. Worldwide, the movie made over $300 million. So this movie ended up becoming one of this 1985's most profitable films. And the other thing is, Rambo First Blood Part 2 was not the only film Stallone had that came out that year that was also a big hit. Also that same year, he had Rocky IV come out. And that movie also made $300 million. So 1985 was probably Sylvester Stallone's best year ever for movies, since he had two movies come out that both made a massive killing at the box office. Well, unfortunately, while the movies did enjoy an incredible theatrical run, unfortunately the critics were not too fond of either film. Rocky IV got bashed by critics, and so did Rambo 2. While First Blood actually got great reviews by critics, it did, but unfortunately Rambo 2 did not. It currently sits with a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, and most of the critics admitted that while the action in the film is incredibly well done, there's just no story. This is just the kind of film you just need to watch only for the action. And after watching it again, I realized, honestly, I don't think this film is as bad as everybody makes it out to be. It definitely has some good moments. Yeah, Stallone definitely speaks a lot more in this movie than he did in First Blood, because in First Blood he barely spoke anything. That is until right at the end when he makes that tear-jerking speech, which is still gut-wrenching to watch. And honestly, he should have gotten an Oscar nomination for that. But Rambo First Blood Part 2, on the other hand, yeah, unfortunately, it's... A lot of people like to refer to this film as sort of macho mania because it's all about, like I said, the same could be said with Commando. I mean, basically, it's all about a one-man wrecking crew, but Stallone is not there to rescue a daughter like Arnold Schwarzenegger's John Matrix did in Commando, unfortunately. But nonetheless, the movie was an enormous hit, and at the Academy Awards, the film picked up a nomination for sound editing, making this the only one of the 5 Rambo films to receive an Academy Award nomination. And also, the movie got nominated quite a bit at the Razzies, picking up at least 7 or 8 nominations, and it took away 4 of them. Sylvester Stallone was voted Worst Actor. The song Peace in Our Life, which was performed by Stallone's brother, Frank Stallone, I believe, won Worst Original Song. And I believe the movie also won the Razzie for Worst Screenplay, and the film won Worst Picture of the Year. Rambo First Blood Part 2 was voted Worst Picture of the Razzies in 1985. In 86, I mean, because that year they did the ones for 85. Rocky IV actually got nominated for quite a few too, and it won 5 Razzies. But first, Rambo 2 picked up the Razzie for Worst Picture. And after watching it, honestly, is Rambo First Blood Part 2 the worst film of 85? I'd have to say no. I don't think it is. The Razzies just, I think they put their focus on movies that were meant to be popular, or either are popular, but just didn't get the reception, critical reception. But like I said, the critical reception did not stop the people from going to see this movie in the theater. I mean, in the States, this was the second highest grossing film of 1985 behind Back to the Future. Like I said, that didn't stop anybody from going to see this movie. This movie exploded. And of course, upon the film's release, there's been merchandise, there's action figures, there's video games that were made based on the success of Rambo 2, and there's even been parodies. One of the most famous parodies, in my personal opinion, is this one, Hot Shots Part 2. Yeah, the sequel to the 1991 film Hot Shots. I mean, the first Hot Shots focuses on parodying Top Gun, but Part 2 focuses on Rambo, and portions of the film focus on Rambo 3. But the movie, nonetheless, is a parody of Rambo First Blood Part 2. So, yes, the movie did go on to have, and it also became a cult phenomenon as well, because, like I said, many things in the film have been, referenced over time. Parts of this film have been, redone over and over again in countless other war movies, and not to mention, it contained Rambo's greatest weapon ever, the explosive arrow rounds, which I think also were partially put into the Turok games. If anybody is a fan of the Turok franchise, which is like Rambo meets Jurassic Park, pretty much, because one of Turok's best weapons in that game is the explosive arrow rounds, which no doubt came from Rambo First Blood Part 2. So, nonetheless, so it's time to talk about the Blu-ray. So, for the Blu-ray I have here by Lionsgate, this was the initial release of the film, and honestly, the Blu-ray is actually not too shabby. It could be better, and it could have been worse, but honestly, this is actually not a bad release for the film. So there's the Blu-ray, and there's the insert, which, has the... Which is funny because when I bought this movie on Blu-ray, initially it came in a DVD case, not a black plastic one, not the Blu-ray keep case that you see here. So I had to fix that up. The video quality on the disc is actually not terrible, but there are portions of the film. All the nighttime sequences are kind of feel like wishy-washy almost. it really feels like, it feels very smudgy when it comes to the nighttime scenes. But anytime during the day, it looks amazing. It looks fantastic. Yeah, there's grain that pops up every now and then, but for the most part, detail looks pretty darn good for a movie of this quality. So I don't expect this is the best version of the film out there. There is a 4K version available too, which also has a Blu-ray copy, which has an even better 1080p transfer than this one here does. But for this Blu-ray, honestly, this is actually a pretty solid release for the film. So for out of 5 stars for the video, I'd give it a 3.5. I'm resting pretty solid on 3.5. As for the audio, it's presented in English DTS 5.1, and honestly, it doesn't sound too bad, but it could definitely sound better. This is one audio track that really could use an additional oomph, because, mind you, this movie was nominated for an Oscar for sound editing, and this is one film that really could have benefited from a better sounding audio track. I would say, yeah, because like I said, in the second half of the movie, there's explosions galore and plenty of gun shooting action. And honestly, yeah, it kind of sounds a bit muffled in the DTS track. But again, the 4K version, no doubt, will have a better sounding audio. So again, that's totally up to you if you want to go for that. But again, the audio track, the dialogue, any of the character dialogue comes out very well. So again, it's not terrible, but it could sound a little better. So for the audio, I'm probably resting on a 3-star rating out of 5. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's still a good sounding track, but I'm going to still give it a 3 because for an action film of this quality, you kind of expect it to be loud. And loud, this really is not, unfortunately. As for the bonus features, I've always said it's quality over quantity because when it comes to the extras, there's not really much on here in the way of material, but like I said, it's all about quality over quantity. And the quality of these extras are actually pretty solid. Starting off is a audio commentary with the film's director, George Cosmatos, as he talks about the film. And this is one you probably will have to crank the audio up to listen to because George Cosmatos speaks with a very thick accent, so it's a lot of the stuff he talks about is going to be a little difficult to figure out what he's saying. But nonetheless, though, he does deliver an entertaining track. We Get to Win This Time documentary. It's a 20-minute documentary about the film and about also talking about the Vietnam War. It's actually a very entertaining documentary that fits the movie very well, so definitely worth a watch. Out of the Blue trivia track, it's basically pop-up trivia that occurs during the movie. I think on the Blu-ray, you also have the option to listen to the trivia track, or you can pop it up, putting it up via subtitles. So, again, it's another trivia track that offers a bit more, offers an interesting tad bit of information. The 4K version does include a few additional features, mostly like tiny little featurettes and stuff like that. So if you're into the 4K version, that's totally up to you because that version has more material. But if you're just only wanting to get the movie on Blu-ray here, I would say this is a good one. This is still a good release of the film to go for. So the extras, like I said, there isn't much, but out of 5 stars, I give it a 2.5 out of 5. But again, like I said, it's all about quality over quantity. And again, the quality of these extras are great. So, as for the movie itself, I would, out of 5 stars, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I'm resting pretty solid on a 4-star rating for the movie. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the best Rambo film. I mean, my personal favorite Rambo movie would be the 4th one, just titled Rambo. That's my personal favorite. But one day I'll get to them. I'll get to those eventually, but for now I'm only focusing on this one. So yeah, the Blu-ray itself is a pretty solid release. The best thing about this Blu-ray is that it's really cheap. I mean, last time I checked on Amazon, this Blu-ray is on sale brand new for $4. You can get it for $4 on Amazon. The 4K version is about $20, so if you're into 4K, I mean, that's totally up to you if you want to grab that one. I mean, it's not like I don't encourage anybody to buy the 4K version. If you wish to, that's your decision. But as I said, you can get this Blu-ray for $4 on Amazon, brand new. So if you're a fan of the movie, I would say it's all about what preference you wish for, because although the 4K version definitely has the massive uptick in video and audio and offers a few more extras than this version here, again, that's up to you. But if you don't feel like burning a hole in your pocket, that if you don't feel like burning a hole in your wallet that deep, I mean, like I said, $4, can't go wrong with that, and it's definitely worth it. And honestly, as I said, this Blu-ray is actually a pretty solid release of the movie. The video actually is great in many parts. The audio still sounds good, but it could sound better. And the extras, while there's not a big amount of material, what is there, though, is really good. So, honestly, I'm pretty impressed with the movie. Very. I mean, honestly, over time, I think it gets better with repeated viewings. I think it does. And again, I don't think it's a film that deserves all the hate that it got. But, nonetheless, it did very well financially, and it spawned off an incredible phenomenon on its own. Like I said, merchandise, action figures, video games, even parodies of the film, you name it. This movie literally started something. So, this concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel, as I will continue to put more and more videos out in the days to come. And don't worry, it will come to the point where I will start using a tripod to hold the phone because, it really would be nice if I could actually have something so I can actually focus on using both hands at the same time instead of just using one. Because I will admit, it is pretty annoying to do this with only one hand. So, don't worry. I have something of that way coming, so don't worry. So anyway, everybody have a great day. Take care, and be safe. I am expendable. John Rambo, you are not expendable.